So there's a conversation that's going on both globally and obviously within any parts of the consumption environment. And that's the talk of the age-old principles of the linear economy. What do we mean by the linear economy? This is essentially the make, use, dispose methodology. So what do we know are some of the issues around that? So let's talk specifically within IT. What we know is the composition of a lot of these products require a lot of the valuable minerals that we're mining from the country, from the earth. And those minerals are becoming kind of less and less available. We also know that there's not a great deal in terms of reporting. So for the people in the sustainability area within your business, they'll know that can you understand the CO2 footprint of some of the products that are coming into some of that product and environment. And again, aside from CO2, the sustainability people want to see more and more. And what we know about some of those minerals is the makeup of some of those minerals. What's the source of those minerals? So things like cobalt. And we've seen the stories there about some of the practices that are going on there. And then when it comes to the use of the product, the challenge is here that a lot of organizations don't have the control over how long they keep that product in place for. If we look at an example of a particular product, what do we know? We know that if you might typically want to work to something like a 3 to 5 year use of a product over time. But unfortunately, what the OEMs do is they put a number of different both cost and milestone issues into perspective that really affect that the consumption of the new product. The first thing that we have here is the cost to support older assets and the cost to keep those products in place. What do we know about it? And this is consistent across Cisco, HP, IBM, Dell. That they gradually increase that product, the cost to support that product over time, until it comes to this point here, which is the end of life milestone. And then I've worked for the OEMs. What I know here is if your cost to support that older asset is 3, and the cost to buy to support a newer product is 1, we've got a saving there of 2. So what do I suggest? I suggest buying the new product in order to fix some of those financial problems. So then you move on to creating waste. What do we know about what's happening here around the e-waste? What we know about the OEMs in particular is that 88% of the products that you give back to them end up in e-waste. And when we do that, there's no reporting available to understand how much of that product is then put back into the supply chain. The disappointing part of it is that only 12% of the assets that they take back actually make their way back into the supply chain. So 88% of the products that you give to them are essentially going to get ground up and broken down and it's no longer available for use. And the big challenge here is that the e-waste and the disposal part of it is always a cost to the business. So typically when we talk to organizations, you always have to pay in order to get that product exited from the business. So we have to, what the greater economy is saying is we have to move away from this model and we have to look to a different model. That model is called the circular economy, which is a whole different way of working throughout the environment and to bring more sustainability to the consumption of products. How can we take some of those minerals and put them back into the supply chain so that we know that they can be used for new products? How can we keep these assets in place for longer? How can you keep the product? That's the biggest difference that you can make. If you can keep the products in place for longer, you delay the consumption of new products, you delay the waste, and you break this cycle. So if you are seeing some issues and challenges around that, if sustainability people are asking you to keep that product in place for longer, if the technology is still fit for purpose, but you want to reduce the cost and you want to be able to free up some capital and operational expenditure, we'd obviously love to have a conversation with you.